Perfect. All right. Call the meeting to order at 6:30. Thanks everyone for joining us. Let's start with the approval of minutes. I barely sent them out this afternoon, late this afternoon, like an hour and a half ago. So I know I didn't give much time to review.
For what it
Um,
worth.
I got to them.
Yeah, it matches my notes.
Yeah, agree.
Great. Yash, any discussion from your side?
No, I'm just going over it.
Okay. Um, minutes, and this is of the 19th December 2023 meeting. Okay, I move that we accept the minutes as is.
Seconded.
Okay, Joe seconded. Let's go to the room to approve. Yash,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Orla,
I
and likewise I. All right, great. Looks like we do not have Ryan O'Leary with us to discuss the school IT admin strategy. But I know that there was some interest in discussing the 2024 strategy, and obviously, I think that's partially been set with the proposed budget. So, does it make sense to review the key strategic items in there, um, and see what changes? I think there's some updates to the budget based on your proposals to the select board and advisory. Is that correct, Jay?
Yeah, and thank you, Matt, for appearing there. I'm sorry we were swapping around a lot of the schedule that day, and I was
No,
like,
it's fine.
but yeah, we removed the phone system from the budget to upgrade it this year and take a look at it in a year or so when it makes more sense with some other items. So that was the biggest item that came off my budget.
Yeah, it'd be great to, over the next year, look to see if there's any other alternatives that might be less expensive. And was it Ring Central that you had put down? Is that right?
Yep. Yep.
That was a 40K annual expense or something like that?
It was about 30. It was about 33, but I put in there about 40, depending on, again, it all depended on once we finally had the final, estimates on everything that needed to get brought over, what that price was going to be. But yeah, about roughly 33, 34.
Yeah.
and Jay,
And
can you remind us of the scope? Was this for all phones or just for the emergency services?
No, it's emergency services. It's the phones for all. It's for all the townhouse, all the town buildings, and some of the emergency services are in separate setups, but um, another portion of it, with like the 911 and stuff, would be bringing over as well.
Okay, got it. And does the price change if you reduce down the scope? Like if you took, say, the admin type phone lines out?
Um, you mean like for like the offices you're saying?
Yeah, for the offices.
Well, I mean, it all really depends on how many lines I'm bringing over. A lot of it was like user based, and then there was like the base. Then there was like the services, like the base service, what it was going to be as a subscription base.
Okay.
So
Because
yeah,
I'm just
it would go
curious with
down
my
by
yeah.
price. Obviously, if we were getting as many phones, because there's phones that are being leased to bring over as well. If we weren't getting as many phones, if it wasn't as many users coming over, so yeah, the price would fluctuate depending on what we got.
and right now the PBX is hosted locally, right? The local VM. And do we pay a yearly fee for the software or for updates to the software?
Yep, yep. It's about
What's that fee?
close to 8,000 a year
Okay.
annually. Yep,
Okay.
and that's they maintain they maintain patching the server whenever there's updates for the application that's installed on there, and they also support if a phone goes down, if I need to make changes on on the application, they'll assist me with changes, major changes as well. depending on the scope, like if it's outside the scope, then they may charge me for it, but basic um, support at least.
So the net delta would be, I mean, today we're paying 8K a year for the software. Obviously, it's on our virtual machine infrastructure, which has been paid for. And how many years of life left of that do we have?
Oh, the physical servers you're talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah, probably about close to 5 years at least. I mean,
so
I
five
paid
more years.
last year. So yeah,
Okay. And so basically 8K for continuing to renew the virtual machine licensing versus 33 plus K if we were to migrate over to Ring Central. So the delta would be about basically a net increase of about 25K, it sounds like.
yeah,
So, but I mean, yeah, I think it'd be great to look at other options to see if there's anything
yeah.
out there.
Um, and this quote came from the place that I've currently been working with, which is the company that's currently supporting our system. So it was like a simpler transition because they know everything. They've been, they set up the initial stuff, so they kind of know everything that needs to come over and how it needs to, work going forward. Uh, so that was my first approach.
Orla, do you have additional questions or comments?
No, I was just thinking like if we have Microsoft, are we leveraging Teams? Could you use Teams phone at a lower price point for admin? Obviously, I wouldn't suggest that for emergency services, but I wonder if there's
Well,
some options.
we do get calls in. Obviously, it's a public building, so I'm not sure. Like we would have to obviously have phones still working for people to call in from the community.
Yeah, but you can just assign numbers. So that's like what we've done for. I have a number 187, but it happens to be a Teams number.
Does Teams support like a sort of SIP connections where they can port existing numbers over?
I don't know, to be
That's
honest.
what I was unfamiliar with, was whether or not they did that part of it.
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, something we can look into. It sounds like we
Yeah,
have another
Maybe it changes.
year.
Yeah, could change. Everything changes very fast. So
Yeah. But to Orla's point, yeah, Microsoft is embedding more and more into their suite.
Mm.
They want to be the one-stop shop for software and security and services. So, and it's included in licensing. We should make use of it. So, something to look into for next year. Okay. So no other changes to the budget. That's
nope. No other changes to the budget, but that one line.
okay. And what are the other major in terms of tech strategy for this next year? And I don't know whether it's best to ask about annual year or fiscal year, because the fiscal year starts on July 1st.
Yeah.
But do you have, I think the question is what are the major projects that you're tracking, Jay?
Um, I mean that was, I mean, besides the Wi-Fi stuff that I'm still working on right now, I do have a company that's going to start a survey, hopefully in the next, probably by the next month at least, for the Wi-Fi stuff to see, whether or not I'm going to just upgrade what I currently have, or if it's a good price, maybe upgrade entirely what we have. What I'd like to do is get a cloud solution in place. But once I get that part of it done, which is coming from the ARPA funding, um, I'll know more in like the next month or two what the next steps are going to be, and getting that going. The one project that I was looking at was the phone stuff to migrate that over to the cloud. But now that that's off the chopping block right now, it's just focusing on some of the other items internally. Because I am working this year on policies and procedures. I've already started a process with our MSP to assist me with getting some of that stuff going as well. And I wouldn't say there's anything major that's happening, at least at this moment.
And so Is ARPA paying for the audit, or are they also paying for the Wi-Fi upgrade as well?
Yeah, it would be for both. That was the funding that we had set aside for the Wi-Fi project, which we'll end up using some of it for the upgrade of the town website,
Okay.
which is another topic I wanted to. I think you have it on the agenda if I can talk about it.
Yeah.
Which you talked about it last week as well.
Yeah. And before we get there, I'd love to the ARPA funding. Is this one of those things that is it a fixed amount of funding like that we have, and um, what and how much are we paying for the audit versus potential upgrade?
So the audit is between again it goes by the buildings and the time it takes for them to do it, but it's about roughly 17,000 to do the audit, and they just did every single one of the buildings. So they go into all the buildings and doing the Wi-Fi audit, seeing what we have currently and what needs to be improved, get me some mapping, heat map signatures and all of that so that I can use that to go wherever I need to go as far as either A, upgrading, or B, just adding to. Again, it all depends on if it fits in the amount of money that was allotted to me from ARPA. If it fits, then it ships. Is that how they put it? But if I can, if I can get it to fit under that budget that I have currently, and it can be cloud and it can be a new system in place, then I will go that route if it's the best option. But if it's just to upgrade what we currently have, turn it into a cloud setup instead with the Fortinet that we currently have set up, because Fortinet has the FortiCloud AP that I could, just migrate to if I needed to. Again, just trying to see what my options are. Once I get to that point, I'll really kind of lean on you guys to just do some more research for me on which option's best, and get your feedback on that as well. But we're
Yeah.
not so.
Have you already signed the contract for the audit?
Yeah, and I've gotten a couple different quotes. This was the lowest one that I could get.
Okay.
Yeah, I did get a couple different offers, and they were all above 20K. Honestly, they're all above 20K. This was the one that was least.
In the future, I'd be happy to do so for free. If you mind giving me screen sharing, I have some professional software, NetSpot. And I've done this for a variety of buildings.
Yeah, NetSpot is really good. I've used that in a lot of situations as well.
Great.
Did you get it?
I don't have screen sharing yet.
I just made you co-host.
Host disabled participant screen sharing. Oh, there we go. Okay. So yeah, here's a NetSpot. Basically just you take a map and you go around, and it will do both signal to noise ratio. It'll actually do active downloads and uploads at each location as well to actually exercise the connectivity. So signal to noise, download speed, upload speed, um, quantity of access points. So entering the location, which location, how many access points can you see at each location? Signal to interference, looks like pretty good. Anyway, and it does take some time. Like each of these points, every one in here takes about a minute because it's exercising, it's downloading, uploading, etc. So, but anyway, I'd be happy to really be very happy to donate my time, and if we can get the maps of the building, that's all you need, and I just walk around and spend several hours per building doing it. So, but anyway, it's an offer. Okay. Any other questions from the committee on fiscal year tech priorities strategy?
1 year. I think so. There was something that we discussed last meeting also. Is not in terms of priority, but something we should get an understanding of that how many GIS vendors are there that we are using throughout our multiple departments, and is there any way we can consolidate to one.
How many? What was that?
GIS
Yeah.
vendors.
We, we use we have two different versions of GIS, which is the GIS and then there's the Esri. The Esri cannot, they don't work together. They're like separate entities the way they work. So we only have two services. One is far less than the GIS system that you use on the website, which the GIS system, if you go on the town website, and you see it's CAI Technologies is the person who handles the
Yeah.
majority of our GIS systems. Then there's Esri, which is more detailed. It's more like wetlands and different things like that. I would, someone like the person over in conservation, Melissa Danza. She's very good at explaining that kind of stuff. If that's her job. But that's a far less expense that we pay for. But it's just for the detailing of, like I said, wetlands and different stuff like that. We don't have multiple. We're not paying multiple vendors for multiple GIS systems. In other words.
That was a question that actually came up last time, and we did not have anything to clarify, but now we know.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
So Esri and CAI Technologies, are those two different things?
Yeah. They do two different things for GIS as a system as a whole. I'm not the best person to explain it, but if I had a Melissa in here, or even I would say even the person over at even the new director over at DPW, he's very good at explaining a lot of that stuff as well. But yeah, they're two different animals in a sense. They both have their niches and how they handle GIS. But yeah, and they even that Esri one that we pay for, it's like $450 for the year. It's nothing it's nothing. It's not breaking the bank. I would say the most expensive one would be the CAI technology ones, which we recently just switched over to CAI technologies, which is just a little bit more, which I think it's like close to 4,000 for the year annually. But again, nothing that's we don't have different GIS systems in town that we're all like. We try to streamline it to just one place if we can.
And the CAI Technologies, is that what's used by DPW, or who uses it?
Yeah, they use that on there as well. But the only other thing I would say that they use a little bit different too, is a CAD design or CAD software that they use for. Again, tough for me to explain about a professional in it, but they have a CAD application that they use. I think it's for like where the different wells are, the manholes in town, and if they've cleaned them and what's going on in there and stuff. So that's again another separate situation. But yeah, we don't have multiple GIS systems running around town. It's just the one main one, and Esri is the other one that's mostly for conservation.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions about GIS? Yeah, sure. Anybody? Okay. All right. Yeah. Any other questions about priorities for the year from the committee? All right. Maybe next month we'll see if Angela has some questions. But yeah, thanks for those answers, Jay. Let's jump to the town web properties. And I think you had some comments on that, Jay.
So on the thing I had to say was on the. Sorry, I keep on scratching my eye. My eye is just like itching me today. But the when we got the funding for the website, I know we had set aside some money for possibly some type of analytics item that you want to look at. And I know, Matt, you haven't had a chance to really come by and look at Google Analytics. Let me know when you want to. You can, you could take, like I said, we could set up a laptop on the side and get you logged in and just look at it. But that money's going to end up going away if we don't do nothing with it, like soon, like real. like they're ready to take it because it's ARPA funding. So
Okay, so
And
yeah,
Jay, do we have Google Analytics already, or you're okay?
yes, and it's tied to our current website that we have in place. But they're looking, and the select board's looking to take any money back that we're not utilizing, and that was money that was carved out for the website. And at some point, they're gonna end up taking it for something. Well, I think it's mostly for the tax set off, if anything. But I do
okay, let's
real loose. So
yeah, let's definitely use it. I'll be in touch in the next couple days. And I'm pretty sure that Google Analytics won't give us what we want, and this is where I'd love to have something like a Heap or Pendo, you know, hearing lots of good things about Pendo that really can map out user journeys, understand how are people getting to us,
yeah,
and when they come to us, how long do they spend per page, looking at each page, each element, and where do they go? What is their ultimate destination? What are the hotspots? What are the functionality? So just understanding those user journeys and what people are using the website for,
mhm.
and um, would be very, very helpful. So yeah, I'll find some time.
Okay,
Thank you.
yeah, that was
Um,
the I had that was it on that part.
okay. Um, recent making a monthly thing to review the feedback we have from our website links. We have across various town website properties, um, a library site, etc. We have a website survey feedback link, and I want to make sure it's a monthly thing where we review the feedback and any problems people have, etc. And we've received zero feedback in the past month. So that's a good thing. I probably should increase the rate of the pop-ups. I think it's like at 1% or something like that to give feedback, but at least there's no
Can I?
negative.
This would also be interesting, right, to see the traffic. Like, is it the website's getting a lot of use, but there is no feedback because it's doing what's needed, or it's because no one's going to the website in the first place? Yeah.
I don't. I will. Not that I know exactly how many are going there, but I can tell you people are going to the website. I only sense that because of the conversations that I have with residents that come in, and people have said either positive things or be looking for items like where can I find this, where can I find that. Okay, they come to my office, I show them stuff, and this is just residents that are asking that come in.
Yeah.
So I believe that the traffic is there, and to that point, my question to you, Matt, as well would be if we do kind of a two-part question. If you do see on Google Analytics that there's not a lot of traffic or that there is a lot of traffic, do we want to still spend money on something like Heap or Pendo? And is there also an annual fee to that kind of setup going forward that I need to worry about budget-wise? Just
Yes. Yeah.
thought.
So yeah, there is an annual fee, and that's a for we'll have to get pricing, but I think it's around 8 to 10K a year per web property.
Wow. Okay. Now that makes
So
sense why money was set aside.
yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, I think could tell us. I mean, let's take a look at the Google Analytics and strategize from there. So
Okay.
yeah. Okay. Auto failover to secondary ISP. I still have that on the list. Is that configured now?
It's we're in the testing phase right now. I'll know more in the next week or two. I have some scheduled testing in mid-February with that setup. So yeah, it's still in process, and I'll let you guys know it's 100% done.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks. Staffing and managed services. How are we doing? How's the MSP?
Amazing. I really will have to say amazing right now.
Really?
Truly. I did start talking to Matt right before the meeting started that I am dealing with a brute force attack currently. And I mean, besides me and the MSP catching it almost like at the same time type of thing, because I happen to be looking at my logs that I get on my email. I got an email ticket from my MSP saying, "Hey, are you aware of this?" And then all we've been doing for the last week and a half is buttoning down, tying down things, looking at geolocation, tying down Duo even more with geolocation. Um, and they're constantly still going at it. But the good news is that, you know, knocking on some wood here, uh, they've been amazing. And I don't, and I will have to say I've dealt with MSPs in the past, and I kind of feel like a number from, you know, for some of these people. It's just like, hey, you know, yeah, we'll look at it. But these people haven't, like, you know, have been talking to my reps like daily. They've been calling me, checking in. They're sending me emails. They're constantly making sure that, Jay, you're not alone. We're looking at this. We're constantly like making sure things are going good. So I have like a really warm and fuzzy feeling right now with these guys. They've been really making me feel comfortable that I have someone that has my back currently. So especially in this scenario where, you know, see, look, I pulled it all out last week. So it's been a stressful week. Just getting that stuff going. So, you know, I think Matt, you texted me the other day when I came home, and I was like, I didn't even see the text till the next morning. It's been a rough week and a half, just trying to, you know, not worry so much about it. But you know, they have been a really extreme help, um, and I have nothing but good things to say as of right now. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. All right. Any questions from the committee about that? All right. If not, let's move on to technology-related town employee training. This is a item you're interested in, Jay.
Yeah. What I was looking for was any ideas, any uh, locations that I can look into, um, to look into training for Office 365, mostly OneDrive. Um, I want to, I know I can explain it to users, but I want to kind of give them a better sense of what to do and how to do it. And I just want to the, you know, to the committee and see if they had any ideas
Hey,
or,
have you searched or do you have access to Microsoft's training? Because they tend to do quite a bit themselves.
they do.
That didn't hit the mark.
Yeah, it just seemed like it seemed very more, it didn't seem as high level as I wanted it to be. It seemed more like, I would understand it versus,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like I
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
more of a high level understanding for a basic user, where there
Okay.
are a lot of the trainings that I would see, and I might be wrong. Orla, if you find something, by all means, forward it my way. But from what I've
Yeah,
seen,
yeah,
are very, you know, very specific, you know, specific technical terms that they're using and explaining things, which I get obviously, but
yeah.
I want the basic user to understand more about it, and so that I can start implementing it a little bit more.
And so it's more from an business user perspective.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
What level
got
of
it. And
understanding
where
start from, and what kind of topics do you want to cover? Then it might be easy to find some material which is already on the web. So
I,
we can do a cluster
yeah,
search. Yeah.
I missed the first part that you said, Yash. I'm sorry. We're
Yeah,
both.
what I was saying is, what is the level of instruction that you're looking, and what kind of topics do you want to cover in Office 365? Or it can go wild very easily.
Oh yeah, yeah, very easy.
So,
I
I mean, if you can list the topics, maybe some of us can just do a cluster search online, and if we find
okay.
something, we can
What
source it
what
out.
I'll do then is I'll write up an email with some of the topics I'm looking for. I'll send it to the committee, and then we can maybe talk about it at another meeting, or if it's okay to email back.
On email, we can, if we find some good links or
yeah,
something.
Okay, okay. But yeah, I just want to keep that process going. Ryan.
Just if I may, because I sat in when some employees were talking about training not that long ago, I think it's like very basic stuff that we're looking for. Like staff don't know really what OneDrive is and or how to use it. And then I think they're looking for like practical applications on how, because I really do think that if employees know what it is and how they could functionally use it, I think we're also still dealing with some employees who have difficulty accessing their mail, either on mobile devices or from home. Like this has come up at the library a number of times, and there hasn't been a time where I can kind of sit down and I can systemically train the whole staff, if that makes sense. So that's just also a segue into I did have discussions a few years ago with the library trustees about shutting down the library for staff training. So if we include the library staff and invite our part-time people, which I can compensate them for, because at this point in the year I can comfortably say that, I'm also willing to invite other town employees. I think the bigger issue is can we get enough like devices and computers? Because I won't have enough for everybody. So that's another kind of challenge I think for Jay to come up. The other thing I'll find is web trainings are great. We have a lot of resources like on the library consortium side that I send to the staff. And then I find that maybe a quarter of the videos are watched or read. So, like another thing, and again, this is not really a commentary on I think staff in general, but I think when people are looking for trainings, they like want Jay or like another person to actually run them through some of the practical applications. And that's what I found is the most like effective strategy for training my staff. But again, I'm not an expert. I'm only giving you feedback as the only other town employee who's here with Jay and with somebody who struggled with this for all the years I've been there because technology changes in such a radical way. It's hard for me to keep up on it. So I really try to be empathetic to staff that never worked with technology before they got to the library because so much of what we do, and I would posit it's really a lot of what everybody does now on the municipal side, especially post COVID. Like everybody's dealing with technology systems, and we're lucky if we even know half of what we're doing. So
Joe, do you have a comment?
that's it.
Yeah, I just while Ryan was talking about the training and the stuff that he's run, I was going to ask Ryan, have you? We all know things get stale, but have you like done any recordings of them to do? I hear you on like web based training. Sometimes people don't really click, but maybe if it's somebody they actually know, because like at my day job, we do a lot of recorded trainings and recorded sessions that we just cross pollinate amongst ourselves just because when it is delivered by someone you know, sometimes it clicks better.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something we can explore. I haven't really had the capacity to do it. We had talked many years ago about working with Caitlin Willis when she was at Access Media, and Terry was part of those conversations. And Terry is now their only staff member, I think. So, Terry was going to record. We're thinking about doing some like fun instructional videos on how to use the library's self-check. I mean, the problem is that I tend to focus more on esoteric library systems that don't have kind of a town-wide um flavor, like it wouldn't be relevant to everybody if I sort of focus in that area. But what I'm getting, I increasingly what I'm getting feedback from staff is that like they get frustrated changing their password. They don't know like the right password to set. Like as silly as this sounds, they have trouble accessing their mail from their phone. They don't know what OneDrive is. Like those are just three of the topics I would say that and unfortunately like resetting passwords like trying to talk to Jay about the strategy for explaining this to employees becomes part of our conversations. And I would say we have bigger things to do some of the day. Not that staff training isn't important, but I'm finding that this is, I don't think I'm alone as a department head who struggles with trying to, like, my entire job could become training my staff on this. And then even still, I don't know if I'm getting everything.
This is something I think the MTC would help out with. I know I'd be willing to donate some time and put together some training courses. We'd obviously need everybody's support. And going, Ryan, to your question earlier, I think it would be very valuable to have people there in present with their devices, and we walk through a variety of scenarios and exercises, very simple, very basic, and so forth. So is that something we could have, we would have enough devices for? That's the good question, Jay.
Um, I a good portion of people do have laptops, and but to Brian's point, that would be one location where a lot of the people don't have a device to work with. Um, I do have some spare laptops. Again, it's not many, but it could be possible that I could lend some, and then at least have some type of presentation going on in the room to do that. I agree. It is tough when it comes to not having the enough equipment for everybody to use, or at least share to use in a sense. Um, it's not impossible, but I could look into trying to, something
Okay.
that we might be able to reuse again.
Yeah, I'm
If it,
guessing if we could have, employees who do have their own laptops, bring them, and then for the handful of employees, maybe the library employees, 4 or 5 or whatever, we set a quota here.
Mhm.
Whatever number that you could spare, Jay, for the training session, you say, okay, a max number of library employees is this for that session, for those sessions. And but yeah, I think we could basically let's work out a variety of topics. OneDrive, email. People can bring their own phones, and we can walk through on an Android. Here's how you configure town email servers on an
Mhm.
iPhone. Here's how you configure on a BlackBerry. Here's how you configure. Just kidding.
BlackBerry.
I was gonna say, where would you find one?
eBay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Matt, as you said, we can devote time if you want to have like a J, if you want to have a session where
Right.
people are there, and if you want 1 or 2 of the MTC members to be there, just to work with people. Hey, it's not happening, kind of
Mhm.
question. So
Yeah. Yeah,
okay,
and I think,
help you.
and
This
I
is what
think,
I can devote some time to that. Not a problem.
yeah, I think the biggest focus for me, especially because I'm trying to migrate people from using the share drive, is OneDrive and SharePoint and how that works together, right? So that's my biggest thing. It's just getting that stuff off the file server, getting people more comfortable to ship, to share folders, or grab items in their SharePoint folder that they have assigned to them and to their department. Um, there are people in town that just get it, right? I've already
Are,
set up
are
different SharePoint areas for different departments that they just get it. They just know how to do it. But there's other departments that I need to transition them, from storing so much data on our servers to now bringing it over. What are they bringing over? How to use it, and not. I think when they look at OneDrive and SharePoint, they glaze over. They don't see it as the structure as Windows folders, right? It's really just Windows folders, but they don't see that. They see it's wow, what is this? I don't get it. So I want to kind of be able to explain that to them. I know I can, but then I'm monopolizing a lot of time on doing just that, and then it could become convoluted. I don't know. I want to get the proper setup here so that I don't glaze them over at the same time. I know I can definitely downplay it and explain it the way I need to, but again, it just becomes time consuming. Uh, you know, use of resources that I could be doing something else as well. And that's why I kind of wanted to reach out to you guys and see, what good options there were out there. I know in the past I had worked with companies, again, that would come in and do trainings for like Excel or office products in general. But they would come in, you would pay a price. They would come in, they'd bring their own laptops so that everyone had a laptop in the classroom and stuff like that. Like New Horizon comes to mind. That was one of those companies that did stuff like that. Where they would come, they would bring their own laptops. But that's a lot of money. Like that's definitely tons of money that I really don't want to spend. So if there's other
Yep.
options that we could do,
Yeah.
that's kind of the reason
And
why.
and it's very generic. Like it's not going to teach us about specifically the SharePoint structure that you've set up.
Yeah,
So yeah, this is something I'd really love to help, and and I think there's
Yeah,
others who'd
no,
be willing to
happy
as
to help.
well. I mean, literally just a session, and we can work together with you in putting together the key topics that you are interested in, and key topics, Ryan, that you're interested in. Most likely it would be the generic technologies and not the library specific tech.
Okay,
But
are
sounds
we
like
The
maybe
other
we
are,
thing,
are we
if
using?
I may, the other thing I'll say too is if you're looking structurally at the trainings, I'm sorry, I have a lot of feedback about this, but I do think it's good to have like an overarching concept stuff, like explaining what the cloud is, as silly as this is, like is helpful for people to understand because some people still don't know. And then also having a section possibly more towards the end, especially if multiple MTC members can be present. I found that like one-on-one helping people going through any particular questions they have, like obviously you can't give everybody one-on-one attention for the whole time, but like being able to answer things that people are confused about becomes sort of integral in helping it to stick, I found.
Mhm.
So I just think like, especially since so many of you want to help with this, that would be a good, I think, use of some of your talents here, because this is a smart group of people. And I think that you can explain things in terms that they'll understand.
Yeah, love it. Yes, you have a question or comment?
No, I wanted to know if all the departments use Teams also or not, because we spoke about share, spoken about 365. Yeah.
So everyone in everyone in town that has a email account has access to Teams, has access to the whole Office suite. Whether they use it or not is a whole other question.
Yeah, because
So
if
there
you
are,
have SharePoint, you can have it via Teams. You can,
yeah,
it's all one place kind of thing.
yeah. So the, there are people that I talk to, including Ryan, on Teams that I can go on Teams, chat with them. They go back and forth with me. I need this, blah blah blah, and we can go back and forth, no problem. There are others that don't even open the app up, like they just don't want to use it, like they just don't get it or something. But so yeah, everybody in town does have it. It's just whether or not they'll actually open it and use it. But again, this is where the training comes in, right? If we're enforcing the training and showing them that it's capable to use and you can use it anytime and it's easy to use and it's not as scary as it looks. That's where I think I'll get more engagement. But as of right now, there's probably about a good 20 or so, maybe a little bit more, that use it on a daily. So it's tough to get everybody.
Jay, this sparks a thought or question. So if somebody has an issue with technology, whether that's an application or my laptop's not working or whatever the case may be, how do they reach out to you?
They submit a ticket through our system that
So
we
there
have.
is a ticketing system?
Yep, yep.
Okay, got it. What solution is that?
Iterium, it's called.
Iteria?
Yeah,
Okay.
Iterium.
Okay.
So that
Okay. Do you get many user type requests through that to say, I don't know how to do X, or they don't it's more something's broken that they use?
Depends. It really does. Like people do ask for, if they have a question about an application, they'll put it in a
Okay.
ticket.
I was just wondering if that would be a good source of like common areas that require training. Because you see a lot of tickets on X or Y. That might be something that's helpful to craft some of the topics that we cover.
I would say a good portion of the tickets are like the break fix scenarios. Printers down,
Okay. Yeah.
computers not booting up, the system's not working, I can't log into this, my VPN's not working, like things like that.
Gotcha.
Get and then if like, especially with PD and FD, if there's like a request to put in we need to install a new laptop or something, we have those in there, so we have like a schedule of when we're updating a laptop or a desktop or something like that. So yeah, that's kind of what it's, and we also monitor things on there as well.
One suggestion for future training might be to explain to employees to use the ticketing system, because I think I'm the only one at the library that does it. So
The ticketing
just
system, is
throwing
that
that out there.
There's
the ticketing?
there's a lot of, hey Jay, can you help me out with this? And I'm like, can you put in a ticket, please?
Or people
We can track it.
literally flagging down Jay and Hassan when they see them, like in the hallway. Like I'm not up at townhouse every day, and I see it. I see them stop him in the hallway and ask him to help with something.
Well, that's typical. I mean, it's no different from mom's house. My dad's flagging me down the same way. So
The ticketing system you mentioned, is it called Oterium? You mentioned
Iterium.
Oh, okay. Never heard of that. Is it a managed service? Like, is it a SaaS app or is it a VM that
Yeah,
you
so
run?
it's a SaaS app, and it's Hyperion is that's how I actually do. I not only do my ticketing, it's remote management of desktops and laptops, patching management. That's where I'm doing I've started transitioning all my WSUB stuff to this system. So it's for patch management. It can do other things as well, endpoint security, mobile device management, remote desktop. But I use the ticketing system, the remote monitoring and management, and the patch management stuff on there.
Okay. Okay. I
Yep.
see it.
I
ITARIAN.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And it's fully SaaS, I guess, right? There's
Yep.
no.
Yep.
Is that,
Nothing's on prem.
is that relatively new? Did we get that? I mean,
Well, it was actually in place when I came on board. I
oh,
don't think it was being completely utilized as much as it should have because, again, my predecessor was running around by himself, so it was probably pretty tough to really utilize it. But now that there's the two of us, we're that was probably like one of the first projects I handed over to us on was like, get this to work. We're doing it. So
I think it was set up in response to Tom being flagged in the hallway at townhouse or going to a place and being asked to do tech things. And then I think some people are aware of the ticketing system, but still follow that same practice,
yeah,
I think.
yeah.
okay.
So that could be part of the training at the end. By the way,
Yeah.
if you have more issues or questions, here's where to go.
Yep.
Yep.
Let me Criterion ticketing system. I'll add that. Okay, yeah, let's work together on that, Jay. I'll propose a few options. Let's see if we can do an assessment of what uh, spare laptops we could have for those who don't have laptops, um, and then let's plan to use the library. Thanks for your offer there, Ryan, for that. And of
Yeah,
course, I'm
I just have to talk to the trustees, but I can shoot out, and we have to avoid programming, which is a whole separate thing. But Monday afternoons generally are a good time. I think that's when we looked at doing some of the DEI stuff. So I know that not every member of MTC will be available, so it'll be a little tricky scheduling, I think, but I'll make it work. I promise you guys that. And I think the trustees will be supportive of this because we haven't shut down for a train. I think we talked about doing this on a regular basis, and then we only did it for DEI. So they should know what's coming back.
good. And I'm going to definitely put a plug into including some security topics on that. I mean, just periodic refreshers, part of every session. Here's some things to think about. So, yeah. Okay, awesome. Well, it looks like we still don't have Ryan O'Leary with us, so we're not going to have discussions with the school. And so I was hoping to have a review of the school admin IT budgets. Supposedly that was going to be finalized, I think by January for us to discuss. But it looks like we'll have to target it for February because we do need to review that and opine on it in preparation for town meeting. Um, let's see here.
Also, I know you guys in the last meeting brought up the satellite office for Finn, for the PD engine over at Finn.
Yes.
Um, that is literally just a satellite office for the south end of um, Southborough, so that PD have a place to go in there, right up a and then they can just back on the road, or just a presence as well at the school, so they see that they are there. But it's mostly for the officer who's in charge of that south end of Southborough, a location instead of having to come all the way back down to the office, submit a report, and then go back down to that area of town. It's just a setup that they can get in there, do a report, and then get back on the road if they need to. And this has been something that the chief was talking with the superintendent and all that for quite some time now to get that going. And I think Ryan did mention something about not you, Donovan, the other Ryan, about us donating a switch over to them to get some of that stuff set up, and we're bringing over some equipment to help them set that up as well. But that's what it was. I heard some questions coming up about it, seeming like it was something totally different than what it really is, which is again just a satellite location for the south part.
And for their network connection is basically just hanging off of their network and internet access only, basically. I
Yeah,
mean, they can
internet
VPN
access,
back in maybe, but
exactly. And just
uh,
again, will work.
probably a printer as well. I guess we're putting in place a printer as
I
well.
don't think that they needed a printer. I think it was mainly just to submit the reports into the system, easily accessible at that part of town. But I don't even think they needed a printer. It was just a desktop, monitor keyboard. They have a desk that they sent over there. They're literally like in the back. I think they're like in one of the old locker rooms or something like that in the back corner near the gymnasium or something like that. So yeah, that's what it is.
Okay. Any questions from the committee about that? Okay. Um, uh, Next item, outreach to individual departments. Any updates on our outreach? I don't know if we have any over the past month. Are there things that the committee members have had? Okay, Joe, you have a comment?
Yeah, I hadn't reported earlier, but I did have um, discussion with capital planning, so that might be
Yes.
useful to. It's a pretty much a capsule update um, because I talked with him when we kicked off the initiative. Talked with him in October. Had a couple follow-ups with Jason Malinowski and Brian Ballantyne. Um, if you're not familiar, their mission is analyze, recommend, and manage major capital expenditures for the town. They vet any capital expenditures over 10K, prioritize and balance the town capital demands. They sit on a lot of committees that have capital needs so that they can vote on the issues. They have general oversight for capital projects in the town. Last MTC meeting, I noted the file sharing comments. That was one thing that they raised was the needing to rely on town employees that had licenses to be able to actually use some of the wonderful collaboration tools we were just talking about. By law, all large projects like over 1.5 million must use outside contractors. So they don't have for large projects that technology needs are actually driven by those contractors using what systems they utilize. For the rest of the project, today's capital budgeting and planning software is Excel. Um, it functions, but they do have interest in more of a municipality focused capital planning tool. They haven't gone anywhere for quotes. They had an old number from a couple of years back of like 3 to 5K, so not massive. I don't have details regarding cloud or hosted because they were actually begging off and interested in following up after town meeting in terms of detail there. So that's kind of the capsule. And I do have the spreadsheet I can share, but since it's just a capsule, there's not a lot of lines to fill the screen here today.
Okay. Any questions for Joe on capital planning?
I intend to circle back after town meeting so that we can get more details and get a little more rigorous data about the type of tool they're interested in. And they did indicate that they hadn't refreshed numbers because they want to go through formal procurement process and so forth. So they hadn't refreshed numbers in a while.
Sounds good. Which actually leads me to one of the other items on the agenda is discussing the survey. I still have not, I was about to getting ready to send out the survey and release it, and I realized I don't have update question from Capital. So did you have a chance to discuss the survey? Basically, what are the big capital projects possibly going before town meeting? And I'd love
Yeah,
to, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, they didn't have survey specific feedback at that point in time. I'll circle back to them
Okay.
this week to see if I can pull some teeth to get anything out
Yeah.
that's specific.
And basically, this is a tool for them. And my hope right now is like this is going to go out, and we're going to get results before town meeting. So if there's any significant capital projects that they would like to have feedback on, in partially this is to utilize that town meeting to justify the projects, so that when there's that one person who stands up in town meeting and says, we shouldn't do it, they can turn to survey and say, well, 70, 80, or 90% of the respondents like the idea. It helps, you know,
Yeah,
helps the
I'll
numbers.
go back to Jason. They were like less focused on that when I spoke
Okay.
before.
Okay.
But I'll go
Yeah.
back to Jason this week.
Yeah. If you let me know, then, otherwise, okay. Thank you. Let me Let's take some notes here. So, survey questions. Okay. All right. Next item, reviewing distribution and assignments. Let me pull up the doc I've been using to track the, one second. I should have had it up here before. Needs assessments. Okay. Here we go. Okay, let me pull up this and let me share my screen. So basically, this is where we've divided the major departments between us on the committee. And now that we have Orla on board, Orla's expressed interest in seeing how she can contribute. So let me share my screen. There we go. Okay. So, we're not doing all the boards, but these are the major boards and departments and how we have it distributed currently. So I would simply offer up, Orla, are there particular departments you're interested in taking over?
I'm flexible, honestly. I guess happy to jump in wherever I'm helpful. It's not like I have a particular knowledge on any of these. I think the only
Sure.
one I visit the library, but beyond that, I probably don't appear or don't engage. Yeah.
I'm going to be selfish and I want to keep the library because two things. I love the library too.
Oh yeah,
And
no, by all
Ryan's
means.
awesome. And I'm appointed by the library, I'm a library appointment to the MTC. So,
Guys, stop
Perfect.
fighting over me. Orla, we can find time to go over the technology stuff at the library too. I think it
Oh
would
yeah,
be
no
good
worries.
to because Matt knows a lot, and I think it would be good just for you know, I think it would be better if more board members know what's going on and what the specific setup is. Jay knows more than he ever wanted to know about
sure.
about our setup too. So I'm happy to find a time and sit with you so we can do that as well.
Well,
So,
I can do that
but
without stealing it from Matt, though. I don't want to steal it
no, no,
back
no,
from
no,
you.
no, no. I think that's good point, Ryan. I mean, I have a strong affinity for the library, and I'll try to keep up with the library anyway. But if you would take the official, gauntlet and work with with the library, and I'll
I think
of
it's be-
course help
I
out.
think you could keep it the way that it is, Matt, but I'm throwing
Yeah.
that out for Yash and for Joe. I'm happy to sit with any of the MTC members and also Angela who's not here. I Angela and I have talked. So I'd be happy to do the same with you, Orla, with anyone else interested.
I would like to join at least to be a fly on the wall kind of thing. So
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, then, I mean, Matt, if you want to keep it, but then we do a session, equally, I'm happy to take it, but I
No,
don't want to.
no. I'll let you take it because I'm either way. I'm going to stay in touch with Ryan and so
Okay,
forth, but I'll let you officially take it. And then, I wonder if you wouldn't mind also taking maybe the Board of Assessors.
that's fine.
Okay. And then, so Yash, I think police and fire go quite well together. Um, and let's see here. Actually, not Board of Assessors. Let me distribute this out. Um, Facilities and building and zoning go together. Sort of. Well, let's ask Angela what she'd like to hand over. Um, and maybe if for health company clerk's office, DPW,
Because it looks like Angela has 4,
and I have
Yash has
four,
3,
Joe has
Joe
two.
2. So yeah, it's probably Angela I should take one from, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we can follow up with her.
We'll follow up with Angela.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
want to just steal it while she's not feeling well.
yeah.
I
Okay.
would
Well,
like to add, if it's okay, if it's possible, you guys could let me know when you're meeting with any of these individuals. I know a lot of them are very like, well, I go to you about everything. Like, to me, like they're like, well, I usually go to you. I'm not sure what they're reaching out to me about, type of thing. Um, just so I know what they're talking about, what they're asking about, so I stay close to the situation, so I'm not blindsided by, hey, did you know this project's going on? No, I had no idea. So, and they typically don't, right? So they usually come directly to me. And I've had a lot of them since you guys have reached out, like, hey, Jay, do you know that they're reaching out to me? I'm like, yeah, I know. I know they're reaching out. They've talked to me about it.
yeah.
Do you want to be involved? They ask me because they really want me to be close to whatever they're talking about. So I would just throw that out there, just as a,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can definitely do that. Yeah. Obviously, try to best to schedule, the time you're available, but we'll definitely, that's a good
yeah.
point. Thanks for that request.
Thank you.
We'll do that. Okay, so yeah, let's wait till in fact, Orla, if you could mind taking three, maybe one from Angela, I'll let her decide what you take there, and then one from me. Do you have an interest in uh, Board of Health? No, I'll keep Board of Health and Council on Aging, but maybe if you take the DPW.
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, so library and DPW, let me make notes on that. All right. Um, uh, on library and DPW. All right. All right. No updates from the schools. Obviously, they're not here. Town survey status. Once again, I'm that close to sending it out, but I'd love to get some capital planning items in there. Not going to walk through action items, and I don't have anything else on the agenda. Is there anything else I missed on the agenda? Anything else we should be discussing? Okay, wonderful. Short and sweet. Well, shorter than we allocated. I move that we adjourned.
Okay.
Seconded.
Okay, I think I heard Orla first, and seconded Orla. Let's go around the room. Joe,
Aye.
Yash,
Bye.
Orla,
I
and likewise I. Before we drop, though, let's find a time for our February meeting if we could.
So the 20th that week is school vacation week.
Yeah,
So
I'm gone that week, so
too.
people think about the week prior, like the 13th or the 27th, like the week of the 13th, like the 13th or the 27th.
I am traveling for work on the 27th.
Okay.
Yeah, likewise, that week's bad for me too.
Would the 13th work?
13th work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can make that work.
Okay.
Yep.
Ryan, sounds like it works. Ryan, does that work for you? Awesome. Okay, thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your evening and rest of the week.
Thank you
Thanks,
very much.
everyone.